Over on My Time channel. Today we're gonna play some more Boyfriend to Death. This time we're gonna try to do Sano's route. Let's begin. I got so drunk last night, I almost forgot my name. What was it again? Wyan, of course. Right, my name's Wyan. It's really hard to adjust to college since I had to leave my hometown to come here. It's been pretty lonely. I got up and looked around. I picked up some flyers on the side table. There's some cool looking places to hang out here. Maybe I should go to one of these places tonight. So we are going with the Snake Pit. Party all night. Just what the doctor ordered. Killing it with DJ Sidewiner. I guess I'll go to the nightclub. I put on a nice outfit revealing all the right places. I went out for the night. After waiting in line, I walked into the club. The music was pretty loud, and I pushed past the waves of people to the bar. It seemed like I end up in the front of the bartender every night these days. Rum and Coke, please. I don't want that. I want just the Coke. A bit early for rum, don't you think? It's definitely have to take the Coke. Coca-Cola, that is. I looked over to my side and noticed a man stirring his drink next to me. Shaken but not stirred? Wait, it's stirred, not shaken? Just ignore him. What does this guy know? What does this guy know? I'm not here to judge you. Oh, sorry, it's just been a rough week. It happens to the best of us. He's very handsome. I didn't know this guy, but he seems nice enough. Oh, my name's Wyan. It's nice to meet you. My name's Sano. He took my hand and rubbed his thumb across the top of my skin. His hands were cold but firm. I looked up at him, and he looked right into my eyes. The gray steel color piercing right through me. What's wrong? Oh, he's just... So I know that everyone was, eyes was tentacles. It's a snake. Nothing. I'm just wondering something. Ask. Do you want to dance with me? No thanks, I'm not good at that. I'll end up crushing your toes. It can't be that bad, but I've heard talk to... It's pretty loud in here. I could talk pretty loudly. I know I can't. I smelled him leaning closer. Sano looked down at his watch and looked at me. It's getting late, I better head back. Oh, so soon? Yeah, med classes tomorrow. Oh, meds did it. Hey, wait, wanna grab a coffee first? Not this time. But I'll give you my phone number. We can go out later. Sono slid off his bar stool and walked into the crowd. I watched Sono leave inside. I got up to dance by myself and bumped into someone. Hey, you're right. I didn't even see you there. Wait, you look familiar. Oh, I'm fine. I thought you just left. Huh? He turned his head and looked in the direction that Sono walked in. Oh, you're just talking to Sono, right? Yeah. My name's Akira. He's my twin brother. He flashed me a cute smile, and I smiled back. He looked just like Sono. I gotta head back to the DJ booth. Maybe we could play together some other time. Akira smiled at me and rubbed his hand across my chin. That might be fun. I guess I'll wait for Akira. I waited for Akira to get off work. He seemed like a nice guy. Whoa, did you wait for me? Is that weird? Akira shook his head and put his arm around me. Nope, I just wasn't sure. assured that you would. I'm off now, so let's do something fun, huh? I nod and follow him off into the night. Like, that's not, like, it's a good idea. Akka wasted no time once we got to his house. It was still dark out when I opened my eyes. I could feel Akka's arms around me, and I poked him. Where's your bathroom? Huh? Akka made a motion. Down the hall. He let go of me and buried his head under the blankets. I sure I could find my own way. I picked up my shirt and slipped out of my underwear as I exited his room. I walked into a dark alleyway and groped the wall. I could feel a light switch, but I felt a doorknob. The door slowly opened and I was hit with a smell. It smelled like raw meat. You shouldn't have done that. Ugh. A hand covered my mouth and someone leaned into me, his eyes almost glowing through the darkness. Guess again. I could feel a needle push into my skin as on my neck and I fell to the ground. It was dark when I woke up. I shifted my wrist to see if I could move, but something stopped me. It felt like leather, and it held me down to what I was laying on. Hello? I came into the darkness. It was so hot when I woke up. Because of the furnace, I could barely breathe. Are you awake? Yeah, very much. I opened my eyes and looked at the man across the room. Sano was looking at me, the blue fire reflecting on his glasses. Wait, he has fire powers now? What are you doing? I started to cough and feel weak. I'm turning up the heat. As I spoke, I felt the heat bounce off the walls. I regretted speaking. I watched as the haunting blue flames bounce off his hands into the room. I could see why the walls were concrete now. Are you giving up on me, YN? Calm down. I was scared, but I didn't want to panic anymore. I bit my lip and tried to calm myself. Sano watched me and got closer, his hands still ablaze. Nothing to say. Sano grabbed my legs and burned my skin. Still nothing? Bite my lip. I didn't want to cry. He didn't look like he was in a mood to hear it. Sano looked at me and pulled his hands away from my legs. I closed my eyes and laid back. I felt the room closing in. I could feel myself passing out again. I opened my eyes and looked around. It had cooled down from the heck fire earlier. Sano must have opened the door for a while when I was passed out. I could see Sano in the corner, looking at some melted things in his desk. Catch your breath and rest. Sano was not done with me. I could tell by the way he was acting. I turned my head away from him and closed my eyes tight. Maybe I could get my breathing under control. It was still pretty hot in the room, but it was cooling down now. I spaced out for a few minutes, looking at the ceiling. It was quiet. I narrowed my eyes and turned my head to Sano. He was sitting on his head he was sitting, but his head was still down on his desk. Was he sleeping? Try to escape. I looked at the straps around my wrist and tugged at them. I glimpsed as I yanked them out of the straps. It was a bit painful. To just yank my arms out like it was like that, but I was now free. I smiled to myself and looked around. I rolled to the ground and stretched out a bit. My body felt good enough to try escape. I kept over the door and put my ear on it. I couldn't hear anything, so I touched the doorknob and opened it. Good morning. What are you doing up? Akka had a gun aimed at me, and he didn't look like he was in the mood for a game. Tell the truth. I'm escaping. I was trying to escape. Aka let out a sigh and moved his gun, motioning to the table. I walked back to the table and sat on the edge. Aka wandered over the table and looked at me with a stern look on his face. Don't run. It's not the best plan. Are you sure? You don't want Sona hurting you. I don't want to die. You shouldn't have snooped around this house. I'm trying to go use the bathroom. Aka ran his hand through his hair and sighed loudly. I didn't mean to. I was just looking for the bathroom, okay? Yeah, well, I guess looking for the crapper it landed you right here. Now, you're his. You're his now. Oh. Aka pushed off the table. Wait! Aka turned his heel to me. What's up? Nothing. Aka walked back to me and pulled a heavy head on my head. Maybe he'll let you go. I've seen it happen before. Try not to be mean to him. Was that all I could hope for in this situation? Okay. Aka looked at me and looked at the restraints. I forgot. I gotta put these back on you. Someone might get ticked off if he saw them off. I nodded. I didn't want to be strapped down, but I trusted Aka's judgment. Aka leaned over me and strapped down my arms. That's okay? I nodded a bit as he tugged my arm to make sure it was on. Stay put, okay? I nodded, and he put his hand on my face. Thank you. Aka turned away again and walked off. The door slammed with a heavy clank, and I laid back down. It felt like hours of dead silence, and someone moved around the room. He didn't even turn on the lights. And the light, maybe he was just accustomed to working in the dark. I could hear him pulling something metal out of his doors. Sano approached and looked at me. He seemed to be studying my facial features. Tell me something, Lion. I could hear Sano's speaking through the darkness, and I swallowed hard. Do you know what a peripheral lobotomy is? I took a hard gulp and opened my mouth to speak, but he stopped me. Basically, you take something like this. Sano lifted up a ice pick, looking tall, and waved it. I saw it glistening in the darkness, and through the eye, I could separate the peripheral cortex from other portions of your brain. Why was he telling me this? Sano dragged the tip of the ice pick up my leg, and I shuddered. The cold, sharp tip scraped against my skin. It was very common practice, especially in the 19th century. Yeah, and when they did the mummification of the mummies in Egypt, they took the brain out from the nose too, since depression and anxiety were considered mental disorders back then. Sano looked at me over his glasses, narrowing his eyes with a grin. So have you been feeling some anxiety? Maybe you've been depressed. Definitely have not. Where's Akira? You're very interested in my brother. I shifted my leg and stared at him. Who would it be? He's a very nice guy. Sano grabbed my neck hard, pushing down on my throat. Don't mess with my younger brother. Sano pushed me back and left the room. So left the room again. I took a deep breath. I heard the door click open and shrunk back on the table. Hey, Lion. I couldn't help but perk up when I saw Akira. He sat at the edge of the table. Akira looked at me and unstrapped the belt around my lips. I looked up at him, appreciating and rubbed my wrist. Are you checking on me? Akira snored loudly and crossed his arms. No. Why would I be doing that? You definitely are. Akira paused. Okay, I am. Sue me. Okay, here's the papers. Akira held out a drink for me. It looked like a food supplement, and I reached for it. Thank you. I felt my stomach growl loudly. Sure thing. I unsealed the drink and sipped it. It felt nice in my throat and refreshing. It's all we really had. That's not snake food. Snake food? Aqua smirked. Do you have a pet? Aqua snored again and shook his head. That depends on what you mean by pet. 'Cause mostly you're... Ah, never mind. We're the food? Okay, I can figure it. How are you holding up? I wish I could say better. Scoot closer to him. I scooted closer to Akra and looked down at my toes. He put his hand on my head and kept it there for a moment. Lonely? Of course. I mean, your brother isn't a cuddler. No, not really. I'm the one that's like squeezing. Yeah, I'll remember. I put my hand around my neck when Akra Akra did that. Akra laughed and took a deep breath. Thinking about that, huh? I blushed and turned away. Maybe. Do you, I look around the room. How do you ask someone if they did torture too? Akra shook his head. I'm glad he caught my drift. No, not really my thing. I'm a contact girl. Akra pulled the gun out of its holster and aimed it away from me. The gun. It makes it less personal. Easier for me to kill when I'm not take the humanity out of it. Oh. I still kill though. I'm still a killer though. I'm not making excuses. Just giving you a reason. Yeah. I felt my nose tingle and my eyes water. Aqua? What is it? I finally turned to him. My eyes watering. My tears flooded down my face. I don't want to die. I tossed myself on him. He patted my back. Shh, don't cry. You'll never struggle. You'll make me cry. I felt his arms wrap around me and squeeze me tight. You really do like to squeeze, don't you? He felt cold, but it was welcome in the room, warm room. It's my nature. I felt Aqua's arms squeeze me. I don't want him to leave me alone. Don't go. I don't want to go just yet. I don't want to go just yet, but... No, I mean... Aqua looked over to me and arched up eyebrow. I played with my hands and threw myself at him. I pushed my lips against him and he caught me. I could feel his tongue slide down my mouth and he pushed hard against me. Aqua's hands made their way on my shoulders and pinned me on the table. We can't. I want to, please. I feel like I'm going crazy. Seems like you'll make me feel better. You're kidding, right? Just make me go crazy. I wrapped my arms around Akra's waist and he looked at me. Maybe I'm just okay with a little crazy. Dang it, YN. He grabbed my hips and slammed me down. You're so freaking cute. Akra leaned up and gets me and whispered in my ear. Darn it. Akra nuzzled me gently. Akra gave me a handkerchief. Oh, thank you. Ah, thank you. I slept closely and thank you. I slept slowly, realizing I was smiling. Looked down at the cloth. Sorry. Don't worry about it. I'll come back, okay? Really? Yeah. Aqua slid off the table and put his hand on my chin gently. Don't give up. I watched Aqua leave and gripped the handkerchief down onto my chest. I could hear the sounds of people talking in the room. I couldn't make out a word of it, however. It sounded like it was Japanese. I shifted my head to the side and opened my eyes. I could see Akra and Sano hovering over his desk. Sano turned his head to me and nodded towards me. Good morning, YN. Hi. My voice felt small as Akra walked over and put his hand on my head. It felt comforting, but his eyes were concerned. What's going on? Don't worry. I'll be here with you today, okay? I didn't like the sound of that. Let's begin. Akka shifted to the side of my head and kept his eyes on his brother. I looked down at the knife in Sono's hands and bit my lip. He pushed my legs apart and looked up at my skin. I could feel my cheeks turning red, being completely exposed. I felt the blade touch the inside of my leg and drag slowly across my skin. I felt a soft gasp and gritted my teeth. It hurt, but not as much as anything else he had done to me already. What are you doing? Sano looked at from the blade and over his glasses. He asked me to take it easy. That's what I'm doing. I turned my head to Akira, who was looking away now. Sono. I watched Sono look at the blood dripping off my leg. He readied himself to cut me again. I felt the blade run across my skin, and I felt another gasp. Akira! God darn, that was fun. I looked at Akira, and he leaned down and nuzzled me a bit. I need some water. I'll be right back, okay? Okay. I watched Sakura walk out of the room, and Sano looked at me. Now that he's gone, Sano walked over and jammed the device in my mouth, keeping it open. He quickly strapped my arms down and my legs failing uselessly. I started to panic as he pulled out a container. What's he doing? Seems like my brother likes you. I can't let you go, however. Sano held up something that looked like a monster centipede above my head, and I started to struggle. I bred this small insect myself. Some dropped down my mouth, and I could feel it crawling in my mouth. If anything was a warning here, is that you can take Akira. You won't be throwing up this little one. I started to panic. Where was Akira? I could feel the centipede crawling up into my skull. The piercers ripped through my flesh and bones. The blinding pain, like hot knife, cut through my flesh. The pain sneered through my head as everything started to feel limp. I couldn't move a muscle, and Sano put his hand out. My hand moved on its own. Sano unhooked my restraints, and my hand took his gently as he helped me up. I didn't control my limbs. Are you okay, little one? I could feel my head nodding as I looked up at him. Yes, master, I'm okay. Someone leaned in and nuzzled me softly, and I couldn't feel it. I was just watching as he did this. I'm so happy, master. Now I can be with you. I couldn't stop my mouth from speaking. Oh, the insect's talking. Yes, you can be with me now. That seems like a suitable container. No, I didn't want this. I hear the door opening and my body turning and looking at Akira in the doorway. Hello, Akira. No, Akira, it's not me. Oh, hey, you're up. Akira, help me. I'm up now. I decided to let Lion go. Seriously? That's awesome. Akira walked over happily and hugged me. Let's get you some clothes, huh? Good idea. Akira, please. I couldn't scream for him. I didn't want my body from getting up and couldn't help my body getting up and walking. Kind of reminds me of Animorphs here. I was a bystander in my own actions. My head turned to Sano, who was smirking. I'll be back, Sano. I couldn't escape him. You survived. Sano let you go. Now we're gonna have to see what happens if we do only Sono's route. I could run around more if you let my arms go. I wiggle my eyebrows as he laughed. Nice try. It was worth a try. I suppose so. It's brave of you to joke with your kidnapper. I didn't think of it that way. Because I'm so personable and nice. No. As much as a black marble. The cold look on Sano's face broke, and he laughed. You're not wrong. What does that mean? Don't worry about it. So about black mambas. Are they really that curious? Aren't you really that curious? That's why I'm asked. Ever heard of Nagas before? Yeah, I have. It's a myth. I know there's like fox boys running around, like QB. Well, that's not a myth. Very right, Doc. And I'm three-toed sloth. I am one. You're kidding me, right? So open its mouth and to a black inside and sharp veins. I'm not a vampire. My eyes widen. Oh, I met a demon last route, so not sorry for surprising. Glad I left you speechless. Well, yeah. Good to know. I leaned my head back. Maybe that was enough questioning for the day. It was hard to sleep. It was getting really warm in the room. Maybe I should try something else. I woke up the corner of the room. Someone was in the corner lighting something on fire in the furnace. What is it like being a Naga? I watched as Sano walked over to me. That's like asking you what it's like to be a mammal. I'll tell you all about it. True. I don't know I could compare it to anything. Do you shred? A shed? Yeah, it's really itchy. Okay, snake skin. Sounds like a pain. I'm lucky. I get to pick it off. That's not not gonna lie. It sounds really gross. It's like pitching a scab. Sometimes it's really gratifying, especially when it comes off in one piece. I could feel myself staring at him for a moment. There was a suppressed smile on Shono's face. Dude, what? No, never mind. You don't want to know if it feels like to peel off a full body scab? No. No, stop talking about it. Sono? Why do you do these experiments? Curiosity. About people? Generally, they're different from demons. So, there's a demon? Do you want to try on him? How so? Most demons walk that behind the line. We rather be killing. Humans are different. We are. Most people who come through here cry and die. Sounds a little pathetic. Cold. I shrug his shoulder. I won't give you the satisfaction of letting you see me cry. Sounds like a challenge. Sono patted my face. I look forward to it. He smiled and walked back to the furnace. I hope it doesn't get too hot for you. Maybe I like the heat. I shut my eyes and fall asleep quickly. It was so hot when I woke up. I could barely breathe. Are you awake? I opened my eyes and looked at the man across the room. Sano was looking at me, the blue fire reflecting in his glasses. What are you doing? I started to cough and felt weak. I'm turning up the heat. As he spoke, I felt the heat bouncing off the walls and regretted speaking. I watched the haunting blue flame bounce off his hands into the room. I could see why the walls were concrete now. Are you giving up on me, YN? I won't give you a satisfaction. Burn me alive if you have to. I started to lose my train of thought as Sano came closer. He held the fire tight right by my face. I could feel how hot it was, just by how close it was. You want to be burned alive? No, not really. I'm just being sarcastic. I like the heat. I live in Arizona. I licked my lips at him. So narrowed his eyes as he placed his hands my side. A loud scream as it burned my skin. Even though, for the pain, I could still entranced by the otherworldly flame. gonna tease him a little bit. I let out a soft teasing sound. I felt his hands against my bare skin. I was starting to get used to the feeling of the fire. Maybe I was just getting delusional from the heat. Sano? Ah. So I started to pant. He took his hands off me and pulled back. Sun was breathing hard and pushed the hair away from his eyes. Your eye. So let a fridge fall down. The fridge fall down and look away. It's really pretty. Oh, he's has a thing with two eye colors. I couldn't talk anymore. I closed my eyes as the heat pulsed my head. I opened my eyes and looked around. It had cooled down from the heck fire earlier, so I must have opened the door for a while while I was passed out. I could see Sano in the corner looking at some melted things in his desk. Fire, huh? Haven't you had enough? Probably. I just was thinking about the flames. So I looked up and walked over. What about them? Is that magic too? So dug around in his whirling tray and removed his glove. Of course it was. It wasn't a delusion. So made a motion towards my burnt sides. Clearly. I have a salve. Do you want it? Saul replied. Yes, please. Good. I wouldn't want you getting a fetching. So put the cream on his hands and rubbed them together. He walked between my legs, leaning over. I watched as he placed his hand on my side. I couldn't help but gasp. Cold, I could use some coldness right now. I answered with an awkward smile. He moved his hand along my sides. I felt myself aching my back. Hurts? I can handle it. I bit my lip as he rubbed his hands on my side. It was hard to concentrate on the cooling effect with him rubbing me like that. Sano? I escaped my lips, and he looked up at me. What is it? It feels good. I could see Sano panting again. He took his hands off me and put his hand over his mouth. This isn't, done. He rushed back to his desk and busy himself with something else. His face was bright red. He actually kind of cute sometimes. Someone looked over at me. Shut up. I spaced out for a few minutes, looking at the ceiling. It was quiet. Too quiet. I narrowed my eyes and turned my head to Sona. He was sitting down, his head... But his head was down on his desk. Was he sleeping? Check on him. I look at the straps around my wrist and tug at them. I glance as I yanked them out of the straps. It was a bit painful to just yank my arms like that, but now I was free. I smiled to myself and looked around. I walked over to him, looking at his sleeping form. Maybe he was tired from using his magic. Get onto his lap. Screw it. I nudged his arms up and sit on his lap. Sano slowly woke up, and his eyes shot open. What are you doing? It was probably the first time I heard him raise his voice, and I purred. Pretty sure we aren't done back there. Sano looked at me and picked me up under my butt. I'll say when we're done. He slammed me against the slam table, and I let a gasp. Rough. I thought you'd like. That's what you'd like. I reached out and put my hands behind his neck. This is inappropriate. Well, trying to murder people is inappropriate, so you kidnapped me. Nothing about this is appropriate. So smashed his lips against mine, pressing me against the table. Sono? He grabbed the scaffold of the tray and looked at me. How much of a masochist are you? None. I felt my heart speed up as he pressed the knife along my sacrum. Watch. I let him move the knife, and it cut my skin lightly. I could feel the blood dripping off from the wounds, but I didn't care. Ah, Sano. He ran his knife down my inner thigh, and I shut her under his hands. That this doesn't hurt. It hurts, but I like it. I grabbed the sides of the table and watched my legs bleed. I want you. What was that? Someone looked at me as he breathed hard. I want you, please. Don't tease me anymore. If that's what you want? One moment. He walked over his desk and put his glasses back on. On his way back, he picked up the cloth and some alcohol. What are you doing? Someone looked at me. Clean your wounds. Isn't that what people do? Someone jabbed my cuts lightly. I was starting to realize how much it hurt. I took a sharp breath as he touched the alcohol to my skin. I guess you're right. I cleaned my tools, but it's better safe than sorry. He cleaned the rest of my wounds and wrapped them around with gauze. Thank you. Don't worry about it. So I stood up and put his hands on my face. Sleep. I leaned up and kissed him goodnight, and he closed the door behind him. I moved my arm around and stretched. I felt sore, but better than ever. There was a white lab coat on the top of me, and I looked at it. Did Sano leave this for me? I smiled and held it close. It smelled like him. I pulled it around me and covered myself looking around. He wasn't here. I felt a bit lonely without him, but I stood up and sat on the edge of the bed table. The lab coat around my shoulders gave me comfort. I rubbed my arms inside. When was he coming back? I jumped when I heard the door swing open and looked her over. Sono! Good morning, Lion. I got off my spot and watched Sono drop a large duffel bag to the ground. I have to talk to you about something. I walked closer and looked up at him. What is it? I have to confess. Normally I wouldn't do what we have. You don't have... Sano nodded and put his hands on my face. I want you to help me. What do you mean? Someone picked up the duffel bag and dumped out the person inside on the table. You seem curious about living things. Just like me. I watched as Sono strapped the person down on the table and leaned on the edge. I could feel my heart racing as he held out a knife to me. Do you want to learn? I accept. I reached over to the knife and took it from him. What are you going to teach me? Someone guided me to the table and stood behind me. Let's start with the incision. The person started to wake up and looked at me. What are you doing, you butthole? An ort. All I could think of was Sono's body. As he held my shaking body, pushed against me as he held my shaking hand steady. Oh, you definitely have to hold my hand regardless because my hand shakes. I turned my head a bit to look at him for a moment. What's wrong? My heart was racing, but my thoughts couldn't be more clear. I wanted to do this with Sono. I'm so excited. The whites of Sono's eyes turned black, and he panted softly. I am too. I kissed Sano on the lips gently as I pushed the knife into the person's skin. They let out a shrill scream and echo off the walls. It felt like cutting meat. I love you. You survived. You joined Sano's studies. Look at that, is actually a good end. What's a fuse? A fuse? No way! Are you insane? Sono flickered the knife across and held it. I thought you were different. He ran at me, and I could barely think before he was in front of me. Die. I could feel the knife push into my neck, and I stumbled back. Sano yanked the knife from my skin, and the blood sprayed all over him. Die, just like everyone else. You died. Sano thought you were different. Let's bite my lip. I didn't want to cry. He didn't look like he was in the mood to hear it. Sano looked at me and pulled his hand away from my legs. I closed my eyes and lay back. I felt the room closing in. I could feel myself passing out again. I opened my eyes and looked around. It had cooled down from the hellfire earlier. Sano must have opened the door for a while, for a while while I was passed out. I could see Sano in the corner, looking at some melted things at his desk. What are you testing? Sano looked at me from his desk and tilted his head to the side. Just your endurance as a human. You'd be surprised how much people could take. Oh, are you having a hard time breathing? I'm okay. No, I'm not. I have asthma. Just ask if you needed something. I paced out for a few minutes looking at the ceiling. It was quiet. Too quiet. Definitely too quiet. I narrowed my eyes and turned my head to Sano. He was sitting, but his head was down on his desk. Was he sleeping? Just check on him. I looked at the straps around my wrist and tugged at them. I glanced as I yanked them out of the straps. It was a bit painful to yank my arms out like that, but now I was free. I smiled at myself and looked around. I walked over to him as he looked at his sleepy form. Maybe he was tired from using his magic. Touch him. I reached out and touched his hair. It was soft, so soft. What are you doing? Someone's eyes reached my face, but he didn't look like he was going to attack me. I just wanted to check on you. Sano moved his chair around and pulled me on his lap. Eek! Sano leaned his head on my chest and kept his eyes closed. Does it hurt you? Sano's arm snaked around my waist as he squeezed me. What? Being held by your captor. Well, it fits you, no, definitely not. I quickly shook my head as he held my wrist gingerly. Odd creature. Sano pressed his lips against the area around my wound. I gasped. It still hurt, but I felt my face get redder. Sano's eyes shifted up at me, and I tilted my head to the side. What's wrong? Nothing. He stood up and picked me up from in his arms. What are you doing out of bed? So I gave a small smile and I put my bag on the exam table. Stay here. Stay there. Someone didn't bother to restrain me again. But I did as I was told, and I stayed on the examination table. It felt like a few hours of dead silence as Sano moved around the room. He didn't even turn on the light. Maybe he was just accustomed to working in the dark. I could hear him pulling something metal out of one of his drawers. Is he gonna get stuff to hurt me again? So I approached and looked at me. He seemed to be studying my facial features. Tell me something, Lion. I could hear Sano speaking through the darkness, and I swallowed hard. Do you know what a lobnominy is? Sorry, I'm all stuffed up. I took a hard gulp and opened my mouth to speak, but he stopped me. Basically, you take something like this. Someone lifted up the ice pick looking tool and waved it. I saw it glistening in the darkness. And through the eye, I couldn't separate the peripheral context. I said it perfectly last time. From the other portions of your brain. Why was he telling me this? Someone dragged the tip of the ice pick on my leg, and I shuddered. The cold, sharp tip scraped against my skin. It was a very common practice, especially in the 19th century. Well, this is the 21st century. Since depression and anxiety were considered mental disorders back then. Sano looked at me over and his glasses narrowing his eyes with a grin. So have you been feeling anxiety? Maybe you've been depressed. Well, I have, but right now I feel fear. Which reminds me, there is a game where you can that's a Batman game where you can try to become the Scarecrow's henchman. I want to play that. Maybe a bit. I look up at Sano. I figured I should tell him the truth. You don't lie to me. You don't lie to me, do you? Why would I? Should I? I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie to you. That's really sweet of you. I reached out and I wanted to touch him again. So I stepped back and I put his hand over his mouth. I could feel myself slipping off the table and smacking against the ground. Are you alright? I put my hands on the ground and I slide my knees underneath me. I'm okay. I arched my back in an attempt to help myself up, but I felt a pair of hands against my butt. Someone was leaning over me and he rubbed the muscle. So, what are you doing? It's like speaking Japanese, I know. Anyway, yes and no. Okay, just get yourself back on the table. Someone let me go and I walked back to his desk. Someone was looking away from me. His face was bright red. He looked nervous. I looked at the cuffs on my feet and tilted my head. Crawl over. I ignored the cuffs around my ankles and crawled my way over to Sano. I didn't want him to be alone. I pulled his pants and hoist myself between his legs. Sano looked down at me, his eyes widening again. What are you doing? I could help you. I rubbed my face again. You've been helping me so much. So I started to pant and I rubbed my face against him. You want? So I rubbed his cheek against my hand. So a strong hand shot out and pushed into my neck. You're adorable. So I let out a little hiss as he leaned over me. I reached around at the back of his neck and moved against him. Why? I want to. I want to make you happy. You're my little angel, aren't you? I nodded happily. So ran his fingers through my hair lovely and kissed me again. You should rest. So let me stand on my own. I stumbled awkwardly. My legs! So smiled at me and picked me up bridal style. Always the legs. I smiled at him and he laid me down on his amp table. He put his lab coat on me and I cuddled it. It smelled like him and I fell asleep within my arms. I woke up. The next morning I looked around. Someone was sitting on the corner playing with some piece of wood. Good morning, Sano. Sano woke up from the wood and got out of his chair. How are you feeling? I'm okay, just a bit sore. Your legs again? Just everywhere. I think that's your fault, sir. I rubbed my legs aside. I know a way to fix this. What do you mean? Sano stood over my spot and rubbed his hands across my legs. He had a look on his face. You're so weak and so fragile. I don't want to break you to break on me. What do you mean by that? Can I tell you something? Anything, please tell me. I love dolls. Uh-oh. I see where this is going. Everything about them. So perfect. You could do what you want with them. They don't fight back. So ran his hands across my legs again. You're so beautiful. You remind me of a doll. I blushed but wondered what he was talking about. I think I know. Gal dodge. So over the piece of wood he was talking about with them. Wooden prosthetic limbs. I could fix you. I could help you. So held a butcher knife with a blush. Do you want me to help you? Except even though that's not a good idea at all, we should run. Except, please fix me. I will, my beautiful angel. I watched Sano pulled out some tubes and tried them around my arms and above my knees. Sano whispered something under his breath. It sounded like a language from before. This is going to hurt, but only for a minute, okay? I nodded as he strapped my arms and legs down. I'll be better soon. Someone went to my side and brought the knife down on my leg. It was so painful, I felt like I couldn't see it. A loud scream and Sano continued to cut through. Shh, it'll be over soon. Sono! A loud sniffle as I felt my leg sever. My eyes rolled back as Sono looked over. Stay awake. I couldn't. I didn't know if I could stay awake. I nodded as he cut through with our leg. My blood was going everywhere. I gasped for air, anything that would keep me awake for the blinding pain. I felt my other leg fall to the ground and Sono walked over to me, leaning over. He kissed me and nuzzled me gently. Almost done. I could feel the knife cutting through my arm as it passed out from blood loss. Oh, we're gonna die. Sono! I woke up with Sono right next to me. He definitely has a thing for dolls. The pain I felt before was gone. I smiled at him. My new wooden arms don't feel any pain. Even ghost pain, because that does happen. Sono rubbed his face on my new hand and smiled at me. You're perfect now. My perfect little doll. You survived. Sono made you perfect. At least I survived. Okay, let's see what happens if we just a fuse. I don't want that. Sono's face dropped and he stared at me. Isn't that there's something other way? I just don't want that. No. There's no other way. Sono, no. Too weak. I got off the table and attempted to run, but he was too fast. It felt like a moment before he was right in my face. Sono, stop! No. I felt the blade cut into my chest as he slammed the knife into my septum. I coughed up blood as he smashed me again. My septum was breaking and I could see my blood fly into his face. Look at how weak you are. I coughed again and I stared up at him. My vision was starting to fade. I could feel blood running down my sides. I'd broken another one. You died, Sono broke you. Nearly identical to the last route we just did, but instead we said that this isn't our type of deal date, so now we're gonna accept. Please fix me. I will, my beautiful angel. I watched Sono pull out some tubes and tied them around my arms above my knees. Sono whispered something under his breath. It sounded like a language from before. This is going to hurt, but for only a minute, okay? I nodded as he strapped my arms and legs down. It'll be better soon. Sono went to my side and brought the knife down to my leg. It was painful. I felt like I couldn't see. I let out a scream and Sono continued to cut through. Shh, it'll be over soon. Sono! A loud sniffle. I felt my legs sever. My eyes rolled back as Sono looked over. Stay awake. I couldn't. I don't know if I could stay awake. My knives cut through their leg. My blood was going everywhere. I gasped for air, anything that could keep me awake for the blinding pain. I felt their other leg fall to the ground and Sono walked over to me and leaned over. He kissed me and nuzzled me gently. Almost done. I could feel the knife cutting through my arm. I passed out from blood loss. Sono. We're kinda dead. Too fragile. I can make a doll of you yet. You died. You didn't survive the procedure. Cry. I could stand heat. It felt like oven. You know, it'd probably be fine with me. Stop, stop! Sako looked over, narrowing his eyes. Is that all you can handle? I wasn't sure how to answer. All I could do was panic. My breathing started to get more rapid as the room started to swim. You were quite useless, aren't you? Shauna. Is that my name? Oh. What is that? A large gray monster wandered into the room. I leaned back on my spot and gasped. I don't have use for you any longer. Dispose of them. The monster walked over to me and leaned down. I could feel teeth ripping through my flesh as the monster ripped my intestines from me. Goodbye. You died. You got eaten. We just met his pet. Same as the last route, but we had to wait for Akra. Cry. I couldn't stand the heat, and it felt like oven. Stop! Stop! Sano looked over, narrowing his eyes. Is that all you can handle? I wasn't sure how to answer. All I could do was panic. My breathing started to get more rapid as the room started to spin. You're quite useless, aren't you? Shauna. A large gray monster wandered in the room, and I leaned back on the spot and gasped. I don't have use for any longer. Dispose of them. The monster walked over to me and leaned down. I could feel teeth ripping through my flesh, and the monster ripped my intestines from me. Goodbye. You died. You were fed from their You fed their pet. Man, it was warm in here. Hey, boy. Woof, woof, woof. Good. Who's a good boy? You're all bloody. Did you just eat? Yep. Let's just go for a walk, huh? You want to go for walkies? Don't incite him, Akra. I'm not. Just a little stroll for the neighborhood. Wait a second. Wash him if you take him out. I got it. Okay, that was kind of funny. He's going to kill me. Have to help me. Oh, no, crap. He's pretty pissed. No crap? I'm calling it like it is. This is a freaking job for him. He doesn't give a crap about you. So you're just going to leave me here? That's the plan. You're so much of butt as him. Akra's hand shot out and grabbed my neck, crushing my windpipe. I gasped for air as his hands tightened around my neck. He was stronger than he looked. A lot stronger. He let out a hum. I wouldn't say that. His palm dug into my throat. I'll say I'm more of a butt than him. Akra leaned over me and squeezed harder. And I'm not going to leave you here. Akra's flashed his large fangs at me. I were killing myself. This is easier for both of us. I could feel the air getting cut from my head. My head started to spin. I heard a snap, my spine splitting between his hands with a loud snap. You died, Akra. Broke your neck. I think I'm dying. Yeah, you're screwed here. Screwed up here. Tell you what, Akra reached behind his back. I'll pull you out of your misery. You're crazy. And you're pretty damaged. Akra waved his gun a bit and rolled his eyes. And I have a gun. Have the gun. I went talked back. You're freaking insane. Everyone's insane here. What are you talking about? I'm pretty sure we're insane half the time. Akra sighed and pushed the barrel of the gun into my mouth. Look, kiddo. I'm not here really in the mood to skirt around. This is the best way for ya. Yeah, don't use a gun. Just put me out of the misery. You died. Akra shot you. Let's try to panic. Panic. I started to panic. Maybe I didn't want this. He looked up at me and smirked. This is what happens if you panic when you get in his lap. He looked up at me and smirked. That's what I thought. I'll give you something to be afraid of. Sano opened his mouth, his fangs baring. He bit down into my shoulder. I felt something inject into my skin. Venom. You think it's fun to screw with me? Sano leaned in and grabbed my hair. You could die. The room started to spin and Sano backed away from me. What did you? I don't think anyone had survived my venom before. He looked up at his watch. I felt my stomach flip and I coughed up blood. It felt like my lungs were freezing up. I breathed hard as I fell off the table. What? It was too late. Everything was getting dark. That's a new record. 1 minute. You died. You received a fatal snake bite from Sano. There's another Akira ending. Your prayer's crazy. Crazy is a spice of life. Not just pass. What? Akira jumped on the exam table with me and walked on my ribs. I could feel they were getting pushed out of my lungs as they stepped on me. Yeah, you're both crazy. What the? I could barely speak over the soft whisper. Hey, Akira put a heavy boot on my skull and started to push down. Honestly, with the mouth of yours, I don't see you lasting longer than this. He lifted his foot up, and I felt relieved. But it was so short-lived. Akira's butt came down on my head quickly. I mean, look at you under there. It looks to me like you're already dying. I felt my skull cracking under his boot. You died. Akira cracked your skull. It's the one where he tries to miss around for eyes. The lobotomy route. Stay on the table. Was too tired. I couldn't bring myself to cry, to get out. I closed my eyes aside. It felt like a few hours of dead silence as Sano moved around the room. He didn't even turn on the light. Maybe he was just accustomed to working in the dark. I could hear him pull something metal out of one of the drawers. Sano approached me and looked at me. He seemed to be studying my facial features. Tell me something, YN. I could hear Sano speaking through the darkness, and I swallowed hard. Do you know what a lobotomy is? I take a hard gulp and open my mouth to speak, but he stopped me. Basically, it tastes something like this. Sano lifted up an ice pick, looking tall, and waved it. I saw it glistening in the darkness. And for the eye, separate the cortex from the portions of your brain. Why was he telling me this? Because he wants to do it. So I dragged the tip of his ice pick on my leg and I shuddered. The cold, sharp tip scraped against my skin. It was very common practice, especially in the 19th century. Yeah, and this is the 21st century. Thank you. Thank you. Since depression and anxiety were considered mental disorders back then. Someone looked at me over his glasses, narrowing his eyes with a grin. So have you been feeling anxiety? Have you been depressed? What are you talking about? Someone leaned in and flickered my nose. Someone leaned in and flickered my nose. I'm talking about, he aimed the ice pick in my eye. Trying out a barbaric form of neurosurgery on you. Yeah, I don't want that. There's a reason people died from these surgeries, Sano. There's a reason why people died from them. Because it was barbaric. He smirked and tilted his head to the side. Sano pushed the tip of the ice pick into my cheek, digging deep. If you want to be an actual surgeon, you have to practice the right way. I let out a gasp as I felt a drop of blood dripping down my cheek. I want to take care of you after all. I'm a doctor. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the doctor from the Doctor Who has more of a medical history than you. This is insane. You can't be serious. How unsightly. He looked at the side and thought to himself, he wouldn't make a good doll. He wouldn't make a good doll like this. So stood up and picked up his ice pick. I'll just get rid of the impulsive behavior. What are you talking about? I'm going to make you better. I don't think give me brain damage to do that. I clambered to get away, but Sano quickly strapped me down. Sano stabbed my head to the table, and the ice pick loomed over my eye. I shut my eyes hard and Sano let out a sigh. This is the type of behavior I was hoping to remove. Sano forced my eyes open. I couldn't pull away as he pushed the pick above my eye. I could feel something break in my head as he pushed against my skull. The skull. A loud scream, and he started to dig around my head. It was hard to think straight as he dug. I could feel the tip of the pick pulling out my skull. I looked up at him. That's better. He slid his hand on my face. So quiet. Don't worry, I'm almost done. So I lifted up my other eyeball and pushed the pick into my head. I don't feel anything. You died. You were abominized. Okay, I think I had a, pretty much, this is the one where you go with Akira and you kinda have to make your health go all the way down. Almost all the way down. Is that all you're freaking psycho? Sano opened his mouth to speak, but the door swung open instead. Wait, he has a baseball bat. Akira walked in with a metal bat over his shoulder. Aki? Yes? Akira had a hard tone in his voice. What's your problem? Your annoying voice is my problem. Oh, I'm sorry. I could lower it down. Akira rolled his arm back and smashed his bat into my shins. I could feel my bones snap underneath the weight of the bat. Jesus Christ, I can't scratch my butt without you screaming. Akira smashed the bat into my side. How can you with all this stupid freaking cursing? A scream that echoed through the room. Akira? My eyes drift down to Akira. He was getting happy. Well, he smashed me with his bat. Yeah. I think he has I think that makes him very happy. You're both crazy. Crazy? I guess you could say that. Yeah, I could say that. You're probably a little... I still have better survival and had more survival routes with you two than our demon, so it just makes me more exciting. Akira smashed my stomach again. I felt the air escape my lungs and I coughed up blood. I watched Sano put his hands on Akira's shoulders. Stop! You two are freaking disgusting! Akira narrowed his eyes and aimed the bat at my face. You hear that? Not as disgusting as you're gonna be. He pulled his arm back and smashed the bat into my nose. I could feel the blood leaking out of my nose. Batter up! All I could hear was ringing as it went black. You died. Akira beat you to death with his baseball bat. Okay, it is in there with Akira, but instead of having him wait, we let him go. Of course, I feel anxious. Really? Sano took a seat looking at me. Why didn't you tell me more about it? I shifted nervously. I was worried that I didn't choose my words carefully. He would hurt me. I've been pretty lonely. Seems pretty normal for someone your age to be lonely. Lost connections with people you may have known. School or work, taking your time. Is it necessary for you to have friends? Is it necessary for you to have friends? Well, I like to have friends. Is that why you go to bars and nightclubs to find people to talk to? Or are you just seeking people to cover the rampant alcoholism you possess? Oh, I definitely know alcoholism. Probably a Coca-Cola addiction. I want to find friends, is all. He didn't look convinced, as he seemed satisfied enough with the answer. So I tapped the tap of the ice pick on my leg and smirked. I cringed in pain as a bubble of blood appeared where he was poking. Well, because you're so cooperative, I won't be scrambling your brains. Good job. I woke up the next morning and looked around. I was alone for once and I smiled. How stupid could they be? I twisted my arm and forced it out of the restraint. Undid what other restraints is up. I slid out of my spot on the table and looked around. Someone had to leave something out. There was no way they could have cleaned everything right. I tiptoed on the cold floor and looked at Sano's desk. When I took it out of here, stared at me in the face as I picked it up. A large knife, not the ice pick. I scrolled and picked up. Scrawled and picked up. I leaned back down and slipped it underneath my hips. Maybe he wouldn't notice. I didn't want to miss my opportunity, and I kept my hand up around the knife. I heard the door open. I pretended to be asleep again. I could hear the tapping of the shoes on the floor as he crossed the floor. Someone got close to me, and I kept my hand around the knife. Got you now. I don't think that's Sano. I turned my hips fast and took a few wild swings in the darkness. I felt the knife hitting its skin and I hear a grunt. Die, you butthole! I felt a cold hand wrap around my wrist and twist it. He pulled the knife from my hand and shoved me down on the table. It felt larger than Sono's hand. Yeah, I don't think it was Sono. Guess again. Akra pulled his arm back and punched me in the face hard. It felt like I was seeing stars as I looked around. Akra snarled loudly as he wrapped me back on the table, twisting the sharp wire around my neck. He snapped it so tight I could feel the blood running down the wire in my neck. You were pretty good. You got me pretty good. I was expecting that freaking knife. You're pretty quick for someone who's supposed to be getting tortured. Looks like I need to tie you down more. I thought he was going to whip my head off, but he just tied me around down to the table. I was checking in on you. You're making sure you were okay. Akra put his hand across his wound for a moment and licked the blood. I'm going to guess that you didn't intend to hit me with that. Yeah, your brother. I tried to talk, but it just came out as spouting coughs as the wire dug into my throat. Don't bother talking. I hear the door open and Akra jerked his head over it. Akra, what's... You're bleeding. Get out of here, Sano. This little crap is mine. Sano put his hand up and backed out of the corner, leaving me with Akra. Akra pulled out a cigarette and took a deep breath of it. Normally, I don't give a crap about any of the torture crap. Akra walked over, breathing the smoke in my face. But you're making me care about it. He reached into Sono's drawers and picked up a device. You got a big mouth. Why don't we keep it open, huh? Will you like that? Arca walked over and aimed in my face. I think he did that on me on our first route. I looked at it and clamped my mouth shut. I wasn't going to open my mouth for him. Now you want to shut your mouth? Screw me. Screw me. It's like, screw you. Aka took the cigarette out from between his lips and pushed it against my thigh. Scream. It was wasn't as painful as Sano's burns as I kept my mouth closed. Oh, sweetie, that was enough for you. I was gonna try to scream. A loud scream and Akra jammed the device in my mouth. Good job! Akra ripped his forehead with the back of his hand and looked at me, tilting his head to the side. I'm gonna share a secret with you, Wyan. Akra grabbed the priors out of the door and smirked at me. I think he could stand to lose a few teeth. This is karma for what we did with Peter, right? He grinned at me. He stuck the cold metal into my mouth. I tried to let out a sound as he grabbed onto the tooth, cracking it under the metal and yanked it quickly out of my mouth. After I held it up in my face as the mouth started to fill with blood. I'm not usually one for torture. Akra pushed the pliers into my mouth again and he yanked the molar out of my head. But that doesn't mean I don't know how to do it. I could feel the nerves surging as the veins going out of my tooth. My eyes start to leak as I cough blood. Calm down, it's just 2 teeth. I could feel the vacuum churn as he jammed it into the side of my mouth. Well, we could also be choking on our blood, too. I still have 30 more to go. Akra smiled, his fangs baring wide as he went into my mouth and pulled out another tooth. He sat down on top of my chest as he yanked them slowly out of my mouth. Twisting them out slowly, I could hear my heart beating out my ears. I felt Akra pushing down on the handle of the pliers and smashed them into shards. I couldn't beg him to stop with my mouth full. I could only watch as he destroyed my mouth. Akra allowed a breath and rubbed himself on me. I can't handle myself. He ripped the gag out of my mouth and let the wire around my neck go. I guess I don't have to worry about you biting me, do I? You died. Akra didn't like your tone. You're so nice. Unlike your brother. He's like a creepy snake. Akra cocked his eyebrow at me. What does that mean? He's just cold and creepy like a snake or something. Akra slid off the operating table and looked at me. Do snakes creep you out? Not all of them. Rat does it. I didn't answer. Rat is adorable. Akra turned his back to me and started to unbuckle his jeans. What are you doing? Akra took his jeans and shoes away. He looked over his shoulder and the Scusher's eyes were black. I could feel myself backing up. He's not the only snake. Just a giant black scales cover Akra's legs. Okay, we would have saw that when we, were with him the first night. It felt like the only moment until there was a large black snake tail crawling around the room. I watched in stunned silence as the coals moved around. Nothing to say. Akra lunged at me and grabbed my neck, knocking us both on the ground. The curls wrapped around my body as he started to tighten around me. Gotta say, not super fond of people talking crap. I could feel the pressure of his claws pushing my muscles. My heart started to race as he pulled tighter. Akra rubbed his face against mine, and large claws held me. I can do this for hours. Akra, but you can't. I could feel my vision starting to fade as he held me close. I felt his lips touch my cheek. Good night, kitten. You died. Akra crushed you. Let's kill him. I looked at the straps around my waist and tugged at them. I glanced and I yanked them out of the straps. It was a bit painful to just yank my arms out, but now I was free. I smiled to myself and looked around. This guy was keeping me here. I couldn't keep him alive. I clenched my teeth and grabbed the knife out of the table. I reeled back hard, but something stopped me. The thin, sharp wires around my neck. Ugh! I could feel my body being dragged away from Sano, and a harsh kick to the back of the knees. You should have done that. I could feel Akra kicked me around as I was looking at him. Akra's boot pushed me into my septum, and he leaned down as I wheezed loudly. The wires were cutting into my neck. I was having a hard time breathing. That wheezing is kinda cute. Reminds me of a baby. Yeah, I wheeze all the time. But I kinda don't like where this is going. Akka smirked and pushed my boots into the septum deeper, cracking the bone. This will be less fun than what I'll do with him. Akka whipped the wires upward, and the wires went taut. I felt the blood fill my windpipe and lungs. You died. You were decapitated by Akra. So now we have to pick the I want friends, but we did not talk to Akra at all. I want to find friends, is all. He didn't look convinced, but he seemed satisfied enough with the answer. So I tapped the tip of the ice pick on my knee and smirked. On my leg and smirked. I cringed in pain and the bubble of blood appeared where he was poking. Well, because you were cooperative, I won't be scrambling your brains. Good job. I woke up the next day with my arms straight out and I looked around. So I was looking into the extra large needle. There was a few round things in the neck, floating gently in the liquid. Good morning. What are you doing? I'm growing tired of this game. Sano looked over me and shook the needle in my face. One more experiment. Sano pushed the needle into my chest, ejecting the liquid into me. I screamed loudly as I felt the pressure of the ejection in my chest. I looked around, breathing harder, and looked at Sano. What's going on? Don't worry about it. I watched Sano pull some hair clippers and start to shave my head. What are you doing? I started to scream, but the room started to pulse. Everything was moving around. I wasn't even sure what I was seeing anymore. The walls were moving, and there was something in the darkness beyond Sano. Sano looked at me confused. What are you seeing? I don't know. What is this? Oh, has the medication taken effect? What's going on, Sano? I felt something cutting through my skull, but it didn't hurt anymore. I watched as things move around the room. Sano? Yes. The room is moving around. Tell me, what are you seeing? I don't know. I could feel something scratching in my skull. The scratching! I scream loudly as I hear something pop in my head. I felt legs walking on my forehead. Oh, new babies. Sano leaned over me and held out a centipede. Thank you for incubating them well. Use me as an incubator. My screams started to fade as Sano watched as insects crawl into his hand. You died. You hatched some new babies for Sano. And that was Boyfriend to Death, Sono's route, and Akra's route. If you want my content, please subscribe, like the video, help a lot, and comment down below. See you guys next time.